Hi everybody! Welcome to day 30 of the 30-day March Mindfulness Challenge. Since it's day 30, that means we've made it through all 30 days.
Amazing.
And it really has been a blessing for me. I really feel fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to do
It
this.
was really fun, actually. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and it's nice to have a set day and time every day to do the practice and do it with everyone. So I loved it.
Well, and if you don't, realistically, will you? Right, and that's worth asking. Some of us we won't. For me, I'm pretty structured. I try to find routine in my life, and I'm pretty formal about it. Mm-hmm. But more importantly than that, I might not be structured as far as like having it on the same time every day. But I make sure I look ahead in my week, and I actually book it. You know what I mean? Like I actually schedule it into different parts of my day. Same thing with my yoga practice and other things, other ways that I treat myself well. And it's necessary because otherwise, every day will end the same way. Oh, I forgot to make time for that. You know what I mean?
And then you don't really want to do it when you're super tired getting into bed. Yeah. Most people don't.
Well, and then it becomes a chore. Then it's like brushing your teeth or something horrible that you have to do. Not that brushing your teeth is that horrible, but what's a chore that you don't like doing very much?
Cleaning up barf.
From your dogs. Yeah, it's kind of like cleaning up barf.
So my one dog, my middle dog, my oldest dog, barfs all the time. Projectile vomits like every newborn baby.
When I clean the vomit up, it makes me gay.
It's a beautiful experience overall that we're grateful to have him. And that's it.
I like him, but I wish he would get rid of it.
He's a senior citizen.
We're totally starting this over. Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway.
Should we start over?
No, I think this is great.
Okay, good. Candid is the way to go. Happy day 30. That's how life works.
And what you might not know is Haley's been present every day for
That's
the month
true.
of March. You might not have seen her, but she's been sitting off to the
Except
side.
once. I remember once she was at a friend's or something during March
Yeah,
break, maybe.
yeah, that's true. Other than that, she's been here for either the lives or the pre-recorded videos, so she knows the crazy stuff we do.
So, how do you feel after 30 days? Excited to be able to not come here every day?
Well, I like it here, but I'm really tired.
Yeah.
You're getting up really early. But you've been a good sport, so I appreciate it.
And thanks for making this possible for all the people at home who are watching. How cool is that?
Cool.
I guess we should meditate.
Yeah, let's get started.
Alright guys, so sit back in your chair, feet flat on the floor and palms open. If you're laying on the ground, get settled, and let's begin by closing our eyes. Let's begin by taking a deep breath in and out. As you begin to settle in your seat or on the floor, start to notice your breath, how it feels to take a deep inhale. Feel your belly rise, and exhale, letting that deep breath go. Maybe you have a busy day today and you notice your thoughts are planning about the future, or maybe you felt rushed this morning and you're thinking about what happened before now. Let's just let that go, non-judgmentally. Bring our awareness to our breath. If you start to feel fidgety in any way, just notice that. Take a deep breath in. And let go of any distraction in your body. Maybe you start to notice your shoulders soften, you sink deeper into your chair, and you really start to notice your feet grounding on the floor as we sit here and breathe together. Breathing in, and out. Let's expand our awareness and start to notice what we hear around us in the room. Maybe a fan is kicked on. Maybe you notice the traffic outside. That's okay. Just breathe into this awareness. Maybe a feeling or emotion has come up for you, like gratitude. I'm very thankful that we've had this experience together, breathing each day, creating a calm and gentle awareness within ourselves. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And out. Know you always have your breath with you at any point in your day or in your week. It is our greatest tool. Let's bring this calm and sense of relaxation into our day and throughout the weekend. Breathing in together. And out. One final breath in. And sigh it out. Start to bring light back into your eyes and let your eyes open. Take any movements that you feel necessary.
Good morning.
Woo! How was that? You liked it? Yeah?
One thing that I find really fun about the last 30 days and the dynamic that we've had is that we've completely unformalized the practice in a sense. You know, sometimes we feel like it's really important to be really discipline about the structures around this practice, and you can. In fact, there's a lot of utility to maybe having a routine of like where you sit, lighting a candle, having a space. There's benefit in that your brain knows, you're about to shift gears, right? But it doesn't need to be. And in fact, most people who really benefit from this in a really practical sense are practicing it in different environments and kind of exploring the practice, when there is traffic noise outside, when things do get busy, when your little one is playing in the next room and making lots of noise, right? Because the reality is that that's kind of life happening, and we're just observing it non-judgmentally. And you can quiet the space and you can perfect the conditions of the environment, and that really might be helpful for you and it might be necessary for you. But I really enjoy and have enjoyed over the last several years of kind of navigating this practice, exploring the practice in different environments. Sometimes I do sit on a park bench. I'll usually listen to music, so it's not weird that I'm completely ignoring the world around me. Or maybe not listen to music. Sometimes I just have my headphones on and I pretend. But then I'll have an alarm set on my phone and I'll just commit to sitting there for whatever the duration of time is. And actually I really enjoy doing that in nature, because then you get to watch. You just get to watch and see the changes and squirrels running around and leaves falling and whatever it is that's happening around you. And it's just a nice way of shifting gears and being a little bit outside of the norm of what we do in our day-to-day. And then when you normalize that, like doing it in the park, you get to do it at your office desk, you get to do it at home, you get to do it when there are quote-unquote distractions around you. But really, what is a distraction? It's just something else to pay attention to.
And I've actually noticed in the last couple of years, like as I started my mindfulness practice, I did make it a point to have a totally distraction-free environment, and I really wasn't able to do it, and I was really frustrated. And what I observed coming to yoga, exploring mindfulness a lot more, what I learned was it's actually, for me, really beneficial to put myself in a distracted environment, to be able to breathe through all of the distractions, because life is so chaotic and that's the reality, versus wanting that calm and peace. And it is nice sometimes to have, but then when you're like, okay, now I'm going to go into my day and it is chaotic and busy, it was too different that I found it really frustrating. So I don't know, I find it very beneficial to be in a distracted environment and to just breathe into that experience.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because that was actually the feedback. I talked to Julie Smith, manager at St. Leonard's, and she was telling me, she gave me some feedback from some of the, by the way, hi to the St. Leonard's crew. This is a big inspiration. This is a big, largely inspired by St. Leonard's and Julie Smith and I meeting. And she gave me feedback. She was saying the pauses you leave in between cueing, like, paying attention to something, and then the pauses you leave, it's almost too long. You leave too much time. That was the feedback that she got. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's too long or put a quality on it. I did leave gaps up to 90 to 120 seconds sometimes. And so that can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it also gives you the opportunity to notice the distractions that exist up here, right? Because there's a distraction, not a distraction, there's something to focus on or pay attention to when I'm guiding or verbalizing, or when you are. And then there's something that we get to observe and watch when we're, when we're silent, and those are the thoughts. And so what we do with those thoughts is ultimately, the practice. That's what we're paying attention to. That's what keeps us anchored here in the moment.
And I think I said this too before, and I'm not sure if I said it on a video, but in counseling, when I allow space and quiet, people get really uncomfortable. And I've gotten the feedback that I'm really good with sitting with silence, and I don't mind it at all. I actually really enjoy it. Just to allow people to reflect and then give feedback to what we're discussing. And there's so much benefit in that, because if we're not allowing people to have that space, then are they really digging deep and reflecting on the experience or a situation that we might be talking about? So I just find that interesting too. Silence is beautiful. It
is beautiful. It's a really effective communication tool. If you spend time with somebody who you feel very rarely opens up, ask yourself how much time you give them. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we don't actually give them time. I heard from a psychologist, I was watching a lecture of his, and he was talking about, he simply said this, you will be surprised by what people tell you if you give them space to speak. And I think that's really interesting, and I think that's true of a lot of people. You know, sometimes we ask a question, and then they take time to process the answer, and then we almost interject with more of the question.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or an answer of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you feeling this way? You know what I mean? Like, is this what's going on? It's like, hold on, step back, sit in that silence, you know, almost intentionally be disinterested in that silence as the person asking the question, and wait to see what arises. That's because we get to be more vulnerable and open when we feel like we have space to think and process our thoughts.
That's true.
And I've always thought that was really interesting. And so then it's really analogous to what we're doing in our mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
When we're quiet, when we wait, we get to listen to our thoughts.
Do you find it difficult to be quiet sometimes? Yeah. Does your mind talk to you all the time?
No.
Is it racing? Like a gerbil on a wheel?
Or a monkey swinging from tree to tree.
Yeah, do you have a monkey mind? Sometimes. How do you control that when you're at school? What do? You breathe or take some deep breaths?
Do you notice that works? Is that something that you actually do in school? Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah,
When
you
you
guys have mindful movement,
remember, right?
No mindful movement this year? No. So,
yeah.
Yeah, you do.
It might be dependent on the teacher too.
Yeah, I think it's a school-wide thing this year.
But we don't do it like we stopped. It was just like certain days.
Certain days and times, yeah.
Cool.
But it's neat because we all have our breath that we can breathe at any point. During a test when we're getting anxious. Maybe we have to do a presentation before we start. We can take some deep breaths. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Well,
that's that. 30
hope,
days of
yeah,
breath.
we hope everyone enjoyed the experience. I know we did. And if you want to see us do this again in the future, please give us some feedback. I think we were talking about doing it again maybe later on in the year. So we would love to hear from you.
Thanks again for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Especially if you've joined us all 30 days. I know there's several of you who have been really committed to this. I've gotten some really positive feedback. Yeah. So thank you to you. If you have any comments on how this practice has impacted you, please leave them in the comment section for those individuals who might be, watching this video for the first time. You can give them an idea or a sense of what it is that we're up to. Please keep in mind that Moto Yoga Brantford has a free mindfulness class every week at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and that's open to everybody. The reason we do that is because we really believe in the benefits of this practice. We make it very accessible.
I was gonna say,
in the sense that it's not tied to any religious affiliation. It's not tied to any belief system. There's actually nothing you have to believe about this practice. My encouragement to you is to flex that muscle, metaphorically speaking, exercise it for a couple weeks, and really see if that has an impact, and come with an open mind, because it's amazing how little we understand about ourselves. And even if you've done this work for a long time, that's when you really realize how much more there is to understand about yourself.
So true. Oh my God, I have so much work to do.
Yeah. Well, I was watching. We got time. I was watching this interesting documentary on the flat Earth, and I really liked it. It's called Beyond the Curve on Netflix, and they were talking about the fact that two things. We need to be gracious and more accepting of people who have different viewpoints, and rather than just attacking them as silly or stupid, really allowing them to understand what it is that the facts say and what they suggest, and being patient with that. The other thing that it highlighted was this idea that when we don't look into something, or when we don't know much about something, we have a direct bias in our mind called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's that we think we know more about that issue or that subject or that thing than we actually do. And then when you start to become more proficient in that area, then you have the imposter syndrome, because that's when you open up that door, you see how much is involved in that, and you realize how little you know, right? The example would be you're pretty good at kind of clamming around on the keys of the piano, and you think you're pretty darn good, and then when you start understanding music theory and you start looking at all the different composers and the different theories that make up music, you start to realize the math that's involved with music and all the different, you're just like, oh wow, what I know of everything there's to know, if it's a pie chart, I know a little itty bitty sliver.
Yeah, I love that.
right? And so that's the same thing about ourselves. When we don't start that process of understanding ourselves, then we think we know a lot, right? We think we got everything together. And then when you start to navigate and you start seeing like where your behavior or where your reactions are kind of getting in the way, that's when you start to realize, oh wow, there's so much more for me to learn, and it's actually really quite interesting to learn that. Yeah.
Well, and think about it too, like the Buddha practices mindfulness every day.
Yeah.
Right?
For
You
sure.
can't really go out, but practices mindfulness every day.
Yeah.
Because they are an expert and they see benefit in flexing the muscle every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing. I'm thankful for myself that I discovered it because it's drastically changed my life. Yeah.
How do you feel? You were kind of forced into this.
Well, and that's interesting. It'll be interesting to watch like young generation. Well, I'm sure we have that too, but young generations who are raised in homes where this is normalized, if it does benefit them, or if it kind of wears off as like a.
I mean, I have my own opinions about it, and I think
I do
will,
too.
but
Well, you're simply put, you're discovering more about yourself.
I think it creates more resilient people.
Sure it does.
That's my absolute belief, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the control seat of responding to life rather than reacting to life. That's the way that I would put it in a simple form.
Yeah.
Right? You're not at the mercy of your reactions, because we've seen sometimes where our reactions just get us into trouble. Like where I don't want to be my reaction. I want to be a thoughtful responder to difficult life circumstances. The way that I respond sometimes is not very nice, not very kind, it's impatient. You ever have that? Sometimes.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
No, and we all do as human beings. That's why I'm just poking fun, because we all do, right? That's part of the human struggle. And so the more we become aware of our reactions, the better we can respond to life. And those responses produce a lot of really healthy benefits for us, mentally, socially.
Yeah, it's so true.
Thanks, friends.
Thank you,
We
guys.
care about you. Reach out to us if there's any way we can support you.
Have a great day.